weeks.
Look, he's got the best chair in the world.
Yeah.
I love that.
No snoozing.
I was gonna say, you could fall asleep in that thing. Does it recline too? Yeah, it does.
Heck yeah, I love it.
It looked like it did. All right, guys. So number one, we really want to start the meeting off with no one's coming.
Not doing any deals.
No one's coming to the door. So we really want to start off number one with belief. One really big thing that we're running into a lot is a lot of people still have a lot of these self-limiting beliefs. We ask a question a lot, and I'm sure every single person on this call at some point or another was asked, hey, what do you think the top 1% in your industry can actually make? And a lot of people give really small numbers. And I would say, if you're giving a small number like, oh, I think they make $80K or $100,000. I know a lot of people have not made $100,000, and that is kind of that next milestone. But if you say that you only think that the top 1% only makes $100,000, you'll never make more than $100,000. You'll cap yourself out that. I give a really good example, and this is funny because I made a post about this on Facebook about a flea, for example, and talking about that every time if you put a flea in a jar, the flea can jump as high as a person is. But if you put a flea in a jar and you put a lid on it, the flea is going to hit the lid, and eventually it's going to learn that it can't jump any higher than that. And then when it actually has offspring, it's going to teach the offspring that it can't actually jump any higher than the bottom of the lid. And even if you take the lid off, then at that point, the fleas will never come out of the jar because they all believe that the lid is still there and they can't make any more. They can't jump any higher out of the jar than they were taught that they could. So belief is really, really important. If you believe that you can do something and you 1,000% put everything that you have inside of what you're doing, you will get a lot further than the person who doesn't believe in themselves, who doesn't believe in the product, who doesn't believe in the process, who doesn't believe in learning a new language, who doesn't believe in training. If you don't believe in yourself as number one, though, you will never make it past what you think that you can get to. So get rid of those self-limiting beliefs that you guys had. Get rid of telling yourself that you can only do so much. Get rid of all of that bullshit that you're constantly telling yourself, because you guys can do anything that you guys set your mind to. But the biggest thing is going to be setting the goals to get there. If you guys are not setting the actual goals, writing them down, figuring out what that next step is that next step 60K, 100K, 150K, 500K? Like, what is that next step for you guys? And exactly, Jeremy, you are your own worst enemy. I listen to a lot of Andy. I listen to a lot of podcasts. You guys know, we live here with the guy basically. So when Andy tells us, he says, guys, you have to think bigger. We're already thinking $1 million. And he said, no, bigger, think $1 billion. So I'm telling you guys, think bigger, dream bigger. Don't put that cap on yourself. But the biggest thing is going to be learning how to love learning. Because if you think that you're going to make it really, really far, you have to learn a new skill set. And Alex Hormozy actually talks about this a lot, which you can speak more to this as far as Alex says, you always have two kinds of people. You have the person that wants to go into the job and make the most money as soon as they start the job. And then you have the person that's willing to do it for free simply because they want to learn a new experience or learn a new skill set to where they can take that and go to the next level and go to the next job. And so they're not limiting themselves. So then you're no longer having anyone tell you what your time is worth. You're deciding what that is because you're stacking these skill sets. But you guys have to learn how to love to learn. You have to be hungry for more knowledge, for more skill set, to find that next level, to read more books, to listen to more people, to do that extra 10 minutes. You guys have all heard the rule before, like give like the extra set, like give one more, do one more minute, one more day, one more hour. Just give that extra step, give it that extra edge.
Yeah. And what she was saying about Hormozy, Alex Hormozy, is he gives an example, like a little story where a gentleman's looking for a job. He just graduated college. He's looking for a career, and he goes and applies at like one of the top tier places that has really good mentorship and everything. And whenever he's going through his interview process, they give him an offer, and his immediate response to the offer is he asks for like something stupid, like an extra $3,000 on the year or something like that. Like they offered him 65, he asked for 68,000. And obviously they ended up turning that down, and he ended up going somewhere else where he had actually more knowledge and more education than everyone else that was around him. And he got the upfront money that he wanted, But then because of that opportunity that he took at that location, everyone that was already there, they were coming to him for all the answers. So he was already really kind of like capped out in his own environment, and people were looking to him for new information. Whereas if he would have flipped that and gave up the $3,000, which, guys, if we think about $3,000 in a year after taxes, it's nothing, like not even worth asking for. And so he gave up the opportunity to make $3,000 less dollars in a year to go learn from someone who's been there, who's done it, who's been through the failures, the trials, the tribulations, that he's no longer like, he doesn't have the pressure on him. He's the new guy, and he can literally look up to these people and work underneath them, ask them questions, learn from their experiences. And then let's just think, like, if both of those people fast forward 1 year, who's going to be like further ahead in business? Who's going to be smarter as far as like what they're capable of learning in that year? The guy who doesn't really know everything, but he's looked upon as if he knows everything, and he's got all that pressure on him, or the guy that's literally only there to learn and he has no pressure on him other than just learning from the people who've already been there and done that. And so that's the story that she was saying. And then back when she was talking about getting rid of those low limiting beliefs, Andy actually has a really cool story about this. Whenever he got started in the car business, his first year, he worked at a place where his manager told him that he could probably make $120,000 if he put a lot of effort into it and he gave it all he had. And sure enough, he went that first year and he made about 115 grand. And so then it just so happened his manager left, he got a new manager, and then boom, this other manager was like, Andy, you've been holding yourself back, man. You can make at least $240,000 doing this. Yeah. He showed him a pay stub that represented that. And Andy was like, oh man, you're right. I can do that. So then what Andy do? He busted his ass. He did everything he could, and he went and made $220,000 the second year. And then what that did to Andy is it made him realize he's literally capable of going out and doing whatever he knows that he can perform and actually achieve. And so then from there, it just kept scaling up, kept scaling up, kept scaling up. And what Andy did was he gave up the money up front because he wanted to find mentorship and lean on someone and learn from someone who's already been there, already done it. They have the experiences. That way, like he says, compressing timeframes, he doesn't have to go through all that failure early on. He can just learn from the best and then kind of smooth sail right into what he was actually going out there to do anyway, which is just be great at sales, which is why we're all here. We're all trying to get great at sales.
But I would say too, don't use this whole side of learning. You need to, and sometimes it's not just learning how to love to learn, but it's also learning how to learn, because not everybody that is going through this process, not everybody that is starting out in the automotive industry actually had any kind of general education per se. Some people only graduated high school. Some people only graduated a 2-year degree. It doesn't really matter. Some people maybe didn't even finish high school. It really doesn't matter what your educational background is. If you want to learn something and you want to learn how to be the best, sometimes it is a skill learning how to learn something, because no one's actually taught you that you may need X, Y, and Z information. But I would say too, there's kind of this fine line between like, oh, I'm in a learning phase, and oh, I'm using my learning phase as a crutch. So what do I mean by that? Well, so we talk a lot about writing things down. Well, if you wrote something down 100 times and you've practiced it, yet you're still not using it and you're not implementing it because you're still trying to learn it, you're going to have to push a little harder. You're like right on the edge, because some people do put in the work. Some people do put in the extra hours, but they're just so scared of like, what could happen if I actually use X, Y, and Z, that they don't actually implement anything that they're learning. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to keep learning. I'm just going to keep learning. I'm just going to keep learning. Well, at some point you have to know that, like, you know, the information, you know how to sell a car, you know, the word tracks, it's already written on your heart. You've been practicing. Now it's time to implement. And that is that next step for a lot of people, is implementing. Don't write it down 100 more times. You know what to say. And so and the biggest thing is what? Sorry.
No, I was just
going to say something.
I was going to tie into what she was saying is another thing that we see beginners do all the time is they'll be provided a resource, a tool, some information like a word track, for example, and their first instinct is to read the word track, and then they'll already try to think about how they would change it, because maybe they think like, oh, I don't want to sound like this guy, or I want to do it my way. And that's usually people's thing, is like they want to kind of have that little bit of entitlement that they already know how to do it better, when really at the end of the day, if we just looked at like your financial situation now and what you've been doing and where it's gotten you, and then what this person who's given you the resource and the tool, like Andy, for example, if you look at his word track, but you want to do it your way, Well, his word tracks and his effort and energy and passion got him to where he's at today. Where what you've been doing up until this point is why you are where you are. And so that's the same for everybody. So when you're trying to learn something new, don't automatically go into it and put up a wall and think, hey, this isn't exactly the way I would say it. Let's go ahead and change it. What you need to do first is you need to master it exactly how it's been given to you. And then when you can say it smooth like water, you're not thinking about it anymore. You're not choppy anymore. That's when you can actually turn around and then go back and kind of tweak it a little bit and make it your own. But until you actually know it and you believe it, because look, there's a difference between saying a word track and there's a difference between saying a word track with 1,000% conviction. Because if you don't believe what you're saying, it literally doesn't even matter what you're saying. The customer's not going to believe it, because that's all you're really trying to do is just transfer that emotion from what you're feeling and what you're believing to your customer to get them to feel the exact same way that you do.
Yeah. And I would say too, I think so many people get stuck inside their head. They're like, oh, the customer's going to know I'm using a word track. The customer has no idea. They have never sold a car in their life. They have no idea you're using a word track. And if you put the heart behind it and what you're telling them, because you want to tell them what you've learned, because it is the truth. It's not a lie. You're not scamming people. And if you are scamming people, you're doing it wrong. If you're utilizing the word tracks for bad, that's just like anything else. That's like people say, well, money creates greed and things like that. But like if you're using it as a tool, you're using the word tracks just to develop a new language. Because at some point, like he said, you're going to become unstoppable if you put in the work the right way. Because then at that point, you will eventually kind of turn it into, and you'll add in little pieces, but you'll always say the word track. And I don't care if somebody at the dealership says, wow, you've said that 10 fucking times today. It's like, well, yeah, I do, but I just put 3 cars up on the same word track. It does not matter what other people at the dealership say. If you feel like you're sounding like a parrot, but you're closing deals sound like a parrot, it really doesn't matter, because you have to have those same go-to things that you say that you're comfortable with, and not comfortable in a good way, but in a way that they can tell you're genuine. Like when you go up to someone, the way that you shake someone's hand every single time and how you introduce yourself. It doesn't matter if you introduce yourself the same exact way every single time. What matters is it was the first time for that client, and they know that you gave them the introduction that was from your heart and not just you trying to be somebody fake. But the other side of this is, don't give a half-ass introduction to someone that you think they may not be able to buy a car. We deal a lot with people who, you guys are dealing with this too. People who don't have a lot of money. They don't want to pay for a higher car payment. They really have shitty credit. Okay. That's really, let's be honest, guys, that's most of the US. So you're going to have to get through that part of it, but give them the same amount of energy if they come in rags as they do looking like they have riches. Because more often than not, the people in the rags have more money than the people with the fake ass riches. Like, let's just be honest. So when you're doing whatever you're doing, who cares if you sound like a parrot? Who cares if it's a word track? Just know it so well that it's a part of your language. That's all we're teaching you. Okay. Think of it that way. Like if you were going to learn a second language, Spanish, for example, you're going to sound like shit when you first start saying it. But as soon as you can fluently say a sentence, it's just like speaking English. It's the same thing. We're just teaching you a bit more English to be able to add into your vocabulary to walk them down the path. And ultimately, you're going to know if it's working, because your numbers are either going to go up or they're going to go down. And that's going to be the deciding factor on whether or not what you're doing is actually working. But you have to put in the work first and implement. A lot of people, they'll start to train and they'll start to get better, and they start to get a little bit of confidence, and then they let off the gas pedal, or they question themselves. Get out of your head and believe that you can do it.
100%.
Get out of your own way. 1,000% believe that you can do it, because you fucking can. You have everything inside you. You have the knowledge. You have all of the information from Andy at your fingertips. Plus you have freaking endless resources like us that you're more than welcome to reach out to. You have an entire team of people. So you have to get out of your own way. You have to push through, and you're going to know by your results whether or not you're doing the work the right way.
Yeah, 100%. And just to kind of branch off a little bit there from what she was saying, is at the end of the day, it's going to take 3 things to really like master anything and be successful at whatever it is you're doing. No matter what you're selling, even no matter if it's sales aside, no matter what you're doing in life, it's going to take 3 things 99.9% of the time. It's going to take time, it's going to take energy, it's going to take capital. Capital, that's an easy one. Whatever you're trying to get better at, chances are you're going to have to invest in someone to teach you what you want to know. It's just simpler that way. It's going to save you a ton of time. So you're not going to have to go through all the ups and downs of trying to learn it yourself. So capital, that's easy. You just got to have the money, spend it on what you're trying to learn. Someone will teach you. Time. You guys are putting in the time now. You're on this call with us when you could be doing something else. You could be going to get drinks with your friends. You could be watching TV. You could be watching a movie, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like Jose, he's at work and he's still on this call. Danielle, she's probably at work too. She's always at work when she's on this call. So like those guys, all you guys here, you're putting in the time of what it's going to take to actually level up your skill. Even if it's 0.01%, it doesn't even matter. The fact is you're putting in the time to get better. Now, energy, what does energy even mean? Okay, you've put in the capital, you've put in the time because you're here training. Now you have to actually use the energy to take what you've learned from this call, practice it more when you're off of this call, and then go to work and actually do the things that you've taught yourself or that you've learned yourself. And so you have to put the energy in to go into work and actually doing it. Like Maria was saying, you can't just go to work and fall right back to what you've been doing, or else you're not ever going to like get better. You're not going to learn why things aren't working. And so time, energy, and capital, if you write those down, and then just really, really quick, how do we master a word track? I think that's going to be really beneficial for all you guys. How do you master a word track? Well, I think personally, it's going to go 3 steps. Step 1, you got to write the thing down. You got to write it down over and over and over again. And as you're writing it down, say it out loud so you get used to saying the words. Okay. And then after you write it down without having to look back at it, and you can just write the whole thing out by memory, now just practice saying it over and over and over and over again. Say it in front of a mirror so you can see yourself. Okay. So that's going to be step 2. Step 3, practice it on camera. So you know exactly what your voice sounds like, your tonality, where does your voice go up, where does it go down? Do you get stagnant anywhere throughout the word track? Whatever it looks like, whatever it sounds like, you're going to be able to then go back and critique yourself. And you're going to be doing this over and over and over again until you actually become a master. And then when you hear it, what you want to ask yourself is, how would you respond to yourself? So always keep that in mind. I would say those are the 3 steps on how to master a word track. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, cool. You guys, we've told you guys this before, even these videos, we go back and watch our Zoom calls. We go back and we're always recording these videos because every single time we want to get better. We're looking to get that, like Jeremy said, that 1% better. And we know if we get on these calls and we push through and we know if we push through and we actually stay on track and we continue to do this every single week, there's going to be a compounding effect. Plus we get on other Zoom calls through the week. But we've told you guys, this is a training for us too. A lot of people at the Elliott group, we all look up to each other, but we're all always learning. It doesn't matter where you get in life. It does not matter, because I promise you there's another hill or another mountain to climb. If you think you're at the top, it's probably time to climb down and find the next one that's a little bit bigger. We're all always growing. We're all always getting better. We're all always trying to become public speakers and know exactly what we need to say every single time. But I guarantee you, we fuck stuff up every single day. Yeah, and you guys are going to too. You have to. And if you don't get more comfortable with messing things up and stumbling over your words and laughing about it, then you're never going to grow. If every single time if you're setting goals and they're not making you uncomfortable and you're not having to work very hard to reach them, you're not setting good goals. You're just setting goals you know you can achieve, which isn't good enough because you're just setting low standards for yourself and you're really not pushing yourself. You're not redlining yourself to be able to execute what you are actually capable of executing. In our meeting this morning, we have a meeting every morning with the team. Yeah. Maria and I were up on stage battle testing each other with objections. we still do it. And we do, it's not like, and when we say objections, we literally mean like automotive objections or roofing objections or home services objections. Yeah. Like we still go through the same stuff that you guys are going through. We are you guys and you guys are us. And we've told you guys that before, that we're all treating on the same stuff together. It's just that we have the ability to collaborate and get these groups together to be able to push on you guys, because we understand that a lot of times you guys don't have someone you can just hop on a Zoom call and run through objections with, or get your mindset straightened out, or really lean in you and start making you thinking about where you're at. So the first one we're going to go over, which I already know Jose knows them, so he's going to go last for you guys. We're really going to put Jose on the spot because he does know the word tracks and he's doing very well. So Jeremy, we're going to start with you. We're going to put pressure on you. I know you're new, but you're still going to do it. Jeremy, Jose's so excited. He's like, I got it. I got it.
Jose's gonna punch his phone. I
Okay.
love it.
Are you ready, Jeremy? All right, turn your mic on. Come on.
All right, let's do it.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Let's do it.
All right, throw a trial close at me, Jeremy.
We just get off the test drive.
Start the test drive.
So how will you be titling this today?
That's good. Okay. Yeah, actually, Jeremy, I have a couple more cars I want to go look at, but you know, if I'll probably be back, but I just have a couple more I want to go look at.
Well, that's perfectly understandable. You know, you want to do your research, get an idea of what you want. Let me ask you this: do you love this car?
Yeah. I have a couple more that I want to go look at. I just want to make sure, you know.
And see, that's where I get stuck.
Okay. No, it's listen,
Cool.
listen. That's the whole
That's
point of
good.
this. Okay.
Take
All right.
notes.
Let's see, Greg. Where you at, Greg? Unmute.
Let's go, G-Reg.
Maybe he's not. Maybe he's halfway listening.
What about Danny Dimes over there? Come on, Danielle. What you got?
She might be selling a car.
Yeah, she probably is. She's probably using an objection rebuttal right
All right,
now.
Lane. You know you're next on the list. Come on, Lane. She's like, really?
She's like, I can't even unmute. What's going on?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
All right, there she is. We got you. All right, Lane, hit me with the trial close.
What?
Try to get her to go inside.
Yeah, try to get me to go inside like we just got off the test drive.
Okay, okay. So why don't we go inside? And I know that you said earlier that you are still interested in looking at other vehicles, but why don't we go inside? Let's see what we can kind of do for you before you go off, so you don't have to keep like coming back and forth and back and forth. What do you say to that? Does that sound good?
Okay. All right. Jose, come on, bring it on. That was good, Lane.
All righty, guys, go ahead and park it up in the soul lane right there. All right, park it up right there. Guys, can I ask you guys a quick question?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's up, Jose?
If all the numbers are good, would you guys like to take this home? Obviously, put in your beautiful driveway today.
Yeah, Jose, I actually have a couple more cars I want to go look at. I've got a few more.
Yeah, can you just give us your card or something?
Oh, I totally understand, guys. And at the end of the day, guys, let's say hypothetically, this vehicle was the This vehicle was the last vehicle that she looked at. And oh man, I choked, man. Blow the whistle. Dude, I freaking choked. That's what I got this one for. Wait, can I try again?
Okay, go ahead, Jose.
Even if
I
you
totally
suck,
understand.
remember, we don't know.
Yeah, remember,
Just
we
roll
don't know.
through.
Just roll
That's
through
true.
it.
Be
All right.
confident.
Hey, I totally understand. And let's say hypothetically, you already checked out those three other vehicles and mine was the last one you're looking at. Guys, what would be the deciding factor in which vehicle you would purchase in the end? Is it going to be the car itself, regardless of the amazing deal you get on it or not? Or is it going to be more of the deal that you guys get on this vehicle?
Probably the car itself.
Probably the car itself. I understand. So you're saying if it was $10,000 over your budget, you guys would still buy it?
Yeah, I get it. Well, no, I wouldn't pay 10,000
Yeah,
over.
no,
budget.
Oh, so it is going to be the deal then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Awesome. Cool, guys. Awesome. Come on inside. Let me show you guys what amazing deal I can make, guys. I promise I'm going to take care of you like nobody ever has before. Come on inside, guys. I love it.
All right. Did you guys?
I got it back, man. I had to
That's
guys
good.
blow the whistle on me.
Jose comes and trains. He does a lot of the training, so I think he just comes to really support us, honestly.
I'm nervous, man. I got nervous. You guys got me with the nervousness. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I would say there's 3 levels. We all know this. There's good, there's great, and there's unstoppable.
Yeah.
There was one little piece at the end that Jose missed.
Oh, I did miss. It was gonna be how'd it go? Okay, guys, let's say hypothetically, you guys already checked out the few of the vehicles and mine was the last one you're looking at. What would be the deciding factor in which vehicle you would purchase in the end? Is it gonna be the car itself regardless of deal, or is it gonna be the vehicle that you guys get the best deal on?
Best deal.
Awesome. Oh no, I
So it's not a matter of if you're gonna buy, it's when you're gonna buy.
Oh, that's what it is.
Buy
Yes.
when it feels right, right?
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bryce.
Let me
I
take
totally
you
forgot that
inside.
part.
So let me take you inside, give you a quick 5-minute proposal.
But that was
Get
good.
all
That
the
was
facts
great.
and figures.
Yeah, that was
you-
great.
So for
Appreciate
you
you guys.
guys, so this is just all Jose's done is he's just practiced, and he got a little nervous being on the call. But listen, if you can get through it on a Zoom call, where we're watching you and you're really having to run to pressure.
Yep.
Guys, if you're running to pressure and you can do it on this call, you can do it in front of a client.
Easy peasy.
And we talk about that here a lot. You know, when we're practicing with the team, we have fun and stuff, but it's freaking nerve wracking. It's always there. You never want to mess up and like let your teammates down or have the other people in the sales floor here, you fuck something up. That is the last thing that you want. But know that you're in a safe space. If we're able to do it on a Zoom call together as a team, think about what you're going to be able to take back with you when you are standing in front of the client at the end of the day, going through that sales process.
Do you want to go through like the main points of that slow for anyone that's like taking notes so that they can like kind of write down the notes on the
we'll text us and we'll send you that rebuttal for it. We'll send you the word track for it so you guys have it on hand and you can practice it.
You can study it.
But the biggest thing is going to be number one, that it's on your heart and that you're not just like there's difference. You have to put emotion into it at the same time. You do care about the client. You want them to be able to buy the car from you because you know you guys do the best deal. And here's why I say this too. Think about all of the other dealerships. I just actually got I don't watch the news, but someone actually sent me a little news article about a dealership where one of the sales guys was actually getting larger loans for lower level vehicles. So when he would like pull out a loan or ask for a loan from the bank, he would put that it was like some kind of, better version of the same vehicle or higher trim package of the same vehicle, and then give them a base model. And so he was charging like $15,000 over. And so he's charging $15,000 over what the car was actually worth. But because some people walk in and they really don't know anything about cars and they're supposed to trust the automotive advisor, they did. And a lot of people got scammed that way. So just know that like, if you don't get that person taken care of, they will buy a vehicle from somewhere and it's not going to be you. It may really be someone that is a piece of shit. So there's no need to not lie. We're not scamming people. We're literally doing our job and putting them in the right vehicle. So remember that too. Put that on your heart. You don't want these people to get taken advantage of, and you know that you're not going to. So I would say two things. Okay. Well, a couple things, but you know what I mean? So number one, believe in yourself. If you believe in what you're saying, that won't be a word track. It's going to be part of your language. Yep. But don't let anyone know your business better than you. You guys cannot let other people know. Can you hear me? Okay, I got close. Okay. You guys have to know your business better than anybody else. You guys, and what do I mean by that? Going above and beyond, knowing your inventory, getting there a little bit earlier, having that ongoing list so that when a client does walk in the door, you know exactly what you're going to be putting them inside of based on the things that they want. But there's two things really. It's going to be staying uncomfortable and kicking your ass every single day and running to pressure. Those are two things. Like
getting on this little Zoom call and doing these objections in front of each other. That's what she means by staying uncomfortable, running to pressure. Because the more you can do that over and over and over and over and over again, the more you're going to realize like, shit, I hate not knowing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's just going to drive you to practice it that much more.
Yeah. And you guys, and too, something like I have other cars to go look at. Everybody hears that. Everybody hears it every single day.
How much money is that costing?
Just think, even if you learned, there's like 50 of them, but imagine if you just learned one of the word tracks, how much more money you could be making. So just know that those are some common things. And the next one we're gonna get into is.
Do you want to do the word track?
No.
I have other cars? No.
Oh, I have other cars. No, we already did it.
But do you want to do it?
No, I don't want to do it. I do know it. Oh, now I have to do it.
Run the pressure, okay. Maria.
Go ahead.
You got a trial quiz.
Oh, Bryson, thank you. The test drive was amazing. Now, if we can get all the facts and figures to your liking, would you want to take us home today?
Maria, I really would. You've been great and you're beautiful. Trust me, I'll promise I'll come back to you, but I have a couple more cars I need to go look at.
Hey, Bryson, listen, I completely understand, but let me ask you a question. Are the other cars that you're going to go look at, are they similar or are they different than this vehicle right here?
No, they're all pretty much the exact same.
Okay, perfect. So hypothetically, Bryson, if I save you some time and some energy for the day, and you already went and looked at all of those other vehicles, and my vehicle, my 2020 Honda Civic, just was the last place that you went and looked at? what would be the deciding factor on whether or not you took it home? Would it be the car itself, regardless of the deal, or would it be the vehicle with the best price?
Well, probably the best deal, I
The
guess.
best deal, perfect. Well, listen, I'm gonna take you inside. I'm gonna give you a quick 5-minute proposal, give you all the facts and figures, and we'll get this wrapped up.
Cool.
And that was not great. That was not great. Put me on the spot.
No, I still crushed it.
It was good. It was good. But she's good. She's good like that. What?
Nothing.
You want Big Daddy to do it? I'm just picking. Okay, cool. Who's ready for the next objection? Yeah, Jose is ready. Jeremy's ready. Lane, we ready? We ready? Okay, cool. The next one is, Jeremy, I gotta talk this over with my wife, man. I can't make this decision without the wife.
Hey, I completely understand that. Let me ask you this though. What about it would make your wife say no?
I mean, I don't necessarily think that she's gonna say no. I just, it's a big decision. I gotta at least talk to her before I pull the trigger on anything.
I completely understand that. Hey, how about this? You're already here. The car's already here. I'm already here. Why not
Okay.
just give her a call, see what she has to say?
She's actually like in a really important meeting all day today, and she probably wouldn't be able to answer the phone right now.
And that's where I don't know where to go.
That's where you got you. Oh, no worries, man. No worries.
That's definitely something that I struggle a lot with, and
Do you
I'm
get that
trying
a lot?
to. Well, not just that, just objections in general. Like I know where to get to a point, but after a certain point, I'm just like, okay, I don't know where to go from here. So
Sure.
something I'm working on.
Sure. No, I love it. I love it. All right. I think Jose's pulling his hair out. Lane, do you want to go or do you want Jose to go?
Jose can go.
All right.
He's chomping
Let's
at
go.
the bit.
I think I got this one. No, you know what? I know I got this one. No, I know I got it.
That's right. That's right. All right.
go,
Close
baby.
me.
Oh wait, give me it first.
Yeah, Jose, I really appreciate it. You've been great. If you can just give me your card so I got your number and stuff, I'll just go home and talk to my wife about it tonight.
Hey, I totally understand. And I'm almost certain that you and your wife had a conversation about what the deal would have to look like. You know, obviously before you even left your driveway this morning, okay? I'm sure you guys probably talked about what type of vehicle and what the deal would have to look like. Let me ask you this, Bryson. Would it offend your wife in any way if I could save her some time and money and save her the headache of having to come all the way down to the dealership? You know, save her through going through the struggle of the entire long process. You know how that is with the wife, man. Would it offend her in any way?
No, when you put it like that, no.
Dude, awesome. I knew it wouldn't. That sign right there. Thank you so much for your business. Congratulations. By the way, when did you want to set your first payment due? Beginning month, middle of month, or end of month? What works best for you and your amazing wife?
Let's go. Yes.
It wasn't like the exact word track. I missed a few segments. I know I did, but
You
still push
pushed
through.
right through it, dude. You pushed right through it. You did great.
Let's go,
man.
baby.
Make it in the
You did
hero.
great. I love that. I love that. And so, like, one thing I really want to say to that is because he knows in his head that he kind of messed up a little bit. But look, you can learn a word track all day. But if you, like we said earlier, if you don't actually believe in what you're saying and have that conviction in yourself, it doesn't even matter. So, like, probably everyone on this call probably didn't even know where Jose messed up, but Jose knows, but he didn't care because he just kept running through it. And that's what happens when people come out to our events here at the Lions Den and they get up on stage with Andy and Andy hits them with an objection. They're more worried that Andy knows what they're supposed to say than just saying what they're confident with and what's on their heart. They get up there and they freeze or they start stuttering and tripping over themselves. And then it's like they end up embarrassing themselves in their own head just because they know Andy knows what they're supposed to say instead of just getting up there and saying whatever they would say to a customer. It's like at the end of the day, like just believe in yourself, be confident. And then the word tracks are just there to like give you a guide and the new language of how to like use your words, how to articulate, what phrases to use, things like that. So that one, you sound different than everyone else. Cause like Andy always says, you sound like your competition, you're going to get treated like your competition. And then two, say common things in uncommon ways. So like what Jose just said, he said, of course you got to talk to your wife. Boom. And then he's like, he went as far as like making him the hero or making me the hero. Like, who says that? No one says that. Let's save your wife the time and energy of having to come all the way down to the dealership, had the headache of going through the whole entire process. Like Jose, like completely rewrapped my whole train of thought. And I was like, well, dang, when you put it like that, it does sound like a good idea. So, I mean, I think that was freaking awesome, man. That was great.
But that is real, because you know, a lot of times if you're talking about a couple, they did have a discussion on what the deal needed to look like, what kind of car she wanted. And at the end of the day, no one spends their time just looking. No one wants to just spend their time hopping from dealership to dealership unless they're a real car fanatic, but you're really not going to run into many of those, especially if you're talking about that you're working at a Ford or a Honda or something. You know, if you're working at a Porsche or, you know, something like that, you may get people that are really just there to look at a Porsche and dream about one. But if, for everyone else, most of the time you're actually going to have people that show up because they're there to buy a car at the end of the day. Now, something else that I want to say is, with you guys being in this kind of role, we say a lot that a car, I've even caught myself saying this because I think about it as like, the way that someone thinks about an investment for themselves is that they always think of it as their house is the biggest investment, and then the car is the second investment. And then of course you have like your food and your energy bill and things like that. So when you're talking about something, because a big thing for people too is bill swapping and what bills to swap out for and how to convince them that your car is actually more important. Don't forget that your car really is the number one investment, and you just have to make it make sense. We talk a lot about common sense selling, make it make sense for the client. And the reason that a vehicle is a number one investment is because you wouldn't have the house or anything else that you have without the vehicle. If you didn't have a good, reliable vehicle that kept your family safe, it would, you know, you're going to want to upgrade. If you didn't have the vehicle that was reliable to get you back and forth from home to work, then at that point you wouldn't have the house that you had. You wouldn't be making any money to even pay for anything that you have. So make it make sense for the client that the car that they're currently in really is the number one investment that they have. And you want to make sure that you're putting them in a great vehicle. So if you can, and sometimes you guys really need to learn how to sell yourself. If you're not sold on it, you will never be able to sell the client.
Yep.
So if you're not sold on it, that's the right vehicle for them, or that what you're selling them really is the number one thing that they need to have as far as an investment or as far as the purchase is concerned, then you won't be able to sell them on it. You'll never be able to do a bill swap. You won't be able to convince them that that is the right direction to move in.
If we thought Andy's training was only average training, do you think we would sell it like it was the best training in the fucking world? No. Not at all.
Yeah.
So that's where like you got to have confidence, conviction in not only yourself, but the product you're representing, the industry that you're in. You know, you don't want to be the average car guy that no one likes. They're liars, cheats, thieves, all that stuff that we were talking about earlier. You want to be the one that's different, the one that cares about the family, the one that cares about, you know, not only selling them this car, but also the next car when they bring this one back. So like if you put them in a shitty situation now, are they ever going to want to come back to you? No. Like, okay, you got one sale, but that's not how you get 5 sales from the same customer. So like you got to think bigger, you got to think more long-term, repeat business, referral clients, all that. And that comes from your belief. Like it all starts with believing in yourself. And so like, that's really how Maria and my life kind of changed is we constantly were running the pressure. Even this morning, when we were doing the objections in our meeting this morning, there were like, I would say 2 or 3 of us like tripped up on some of the most basic ones just because we're all human. And you got to like remember that, like we're not robots, even though people think we are robots. Like we still brain fart sometimes. We still get tripped up on certain things. And it's just a matter of like, one, how do you handle it? Like, do you stop and say, oh shit, I messed that up? Or do you just keep rolling through it like Jose did when you don't even realize that he messed up somewhere? Like it doesn't even matter because he believed in himself. And we've always believed in ourselves, like when no one else would. So you guys have to always keep that in mind too, is like, you're at your dealership, people are going to be negative. You're going to have some managers that tell you it's a stupid idea to spend your money on training. You're going to have coworkers that tell you it's a waste of money. It's a waste of your time. Hey, let's just go out drinking tonight. You don't need to go home and study. Like you're going to hear that all the time. And then you're going to look up one day and you're going to be at the top of the board and they're just going to be like average at the bottom. And they're going to be like, dude, what happened? Like that came out of nowhere. And you're going to be like, no, it didn't come out of nowhere. This is why I haven't been going out with you guys. And so you just got to like have that confidence in yourself because it's not magic, you guys. It's not magic. You're either going to grow or you're going to fail. Like Andy says, everyone's adjusting right now. You're either going to adjust up or you're going to adjust down.
Yep.
You are the ones that get to make that decision on which direction you go. And if you want to adjust up, you got to do time, energy, and capital, just like I said earlier.
Mhm.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. And that's what Maria and I have always done. We've always been here for each other. I believe in myself. I believe in her, same vice versa. And we've always ran to that pressure. You know, like we got married at 21 when everyone around us told us we were too young. We bought a house at 22 when people said that we were going to regret it down the road. Like we've just always done what people told us that we couldn't do or shouldn't do. And honestly, I would say like that's why we've grown so much, is because we're always putting ourselves under that pressure, always putting ourselves under that pressure.
Yeah. And, you know, I think a lot of people too, we say that you have to like run to pressure to grow. I don't think that it's necessarily that you're growing. I really think that you're just exposing what you're actually capable of, what your experiences in the past and what the training you've done has exposed in you. I don't think it's necessary that you've grown. I think that what a lot of us are actually capable of doing has always been there. It's just that we were raised with such limited beliefs in ourselves, not just in our bank account, but even in our own capabilities, where people were like, oh yeah, you know, go get a job, make 50K, put all your money in your 401k. And then when you turn 75 or whatever, 65, whatever people retire now, you'll be able to cash it out and live a mediocre life.
And you got to think too, like every, or maybe not every, but at least 80% of the professional athletes out there in the world, they were all told when they were young, oh, don't worry about going for that. Like that's too big. Not many people make that. And then look at them, like they got to come from somewhere. And those are the ones that like don't care what anyone else thinks. They're going to do whatever it takes to reach those goals that they're going for. So you always got to keep that in mind too. Like there's always going to be people around you that are trying to put you down, hold you back. Like Andy says about the crabs in the bucket. You know that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Andy just says, he talks about all the time that if you put a bunch of crabs in the bucket, you're always going to have the one crab that's like climbing to the top, but all the other crabs are trying to pull it down because they want out of the bucket too. And that's basically life.
That's
like
life.
Someone's always holding you back or holding on to you. But I think sometimes we forget just how easy it is. I say easy, but really simple. We forget how simple it is to actually get what we need to gain a new skill set. There are so many people out there that are winning right now. You know, Andy is just one of a lot of people who are winning. He's probably the most transparent and direct one, which is why we love him so much. But there are a lot of people out there who are winning. And I think we just forget that, you know, before, to be able to gain more information, you actually had to like go to a library and read a book, or you had to take a rich man out to dinner. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard that before, but to actually get information from somebody else, you had to go and spend a couple $100 to take them out for dinner. And it wasn't like an Andy Elliott seminar, you know, it was just kind of like you took them to dinner and you took as many tidbit pieces as you could. And then that was it. You hoped that he said something that you could take one or two things and implement it into what you were doing. Now you guys have an entire system that tells you exactly not only what to do, but you have so many resources. And I think, honestly, I think that we've been taught that, again, that you're just kind of limited on what you can learn. It's like, oh, you go to elementary school, you go to high school, you go to college, and like that's it. And we just kind of like walk down this path when really it's like a spider web of information and we're missing so much of it. But we forget too just how simple it is to get the answers to the questions that we have. It's just a matter of really putting in that extra work, taking those extra steps, and having a good attitude all along the way. Y'all, losing sucks. For anyone that's competitive, and most people in sales are going to have some kind of competitive edge, losing fucking sucks. It is the worst thing in the world. I hate losing. It's like scratching. I don't even play lottery because I fucking hate losing on a lottery. And I'm like, it's just like luck, dumb luck. There's no skill to it. You just scratch a scratch off. But I hate losing so much that I don't even want to play a scratch off ticket because I don't like losing. So you guys have to remember too that you have to have a good attitude through it. If you don't have a good attitude, it will make it seem just so miserable if you don't have a good attitude. You will begin to lose gratitude for what you're doing if you have a shitty attitude. You'll no longer realize that your seat is still worth $500,000 or $1 million. You will forget that and you'll want to get up and you'll want to walk out, which is why you have to just kind of stay in your lane. You have to keep a good attitude no matter what, and have those walls up that, or kind of like boundaries where when you walk into work, you focus on work. Whenever you walk home, you focus on home. If you have kids, you focus on kids. Your wife, you focus on wife, and you just do the one thing. People will say like, oh, I'm a pro multitasker. No, we actually are not really capable. Excuse me, this energy drink's got me burping. We actually are really not capable of multitasking. If you think about what that means, they tell you to like pat your head and rub your belly at the same time. It's like damn near impossible to do. It's the same thing. If you're trying to, Bryson's gonna show off. He's not a multitasker either. But see, Lane's got it too. She's going. But a lot of the times, you guys, if you're going from one thing to another, like filling out paperwork, having a conversation with a client, you can't have a conversation. You can't have an engaging conversation with a client and fill out paperwork. It just doesn't work that way. You need to do one thing at a time. Focus on having a great attitude. Even if you have a 0 day, at least learn something in that day and take it for, you know what, fuck that 0 day. I'm going to come back fired up first thing in the morning, and somebody's going to walk away with the best deal possible today.
And the magic happens, the real magic and growth happens. And this is the separator between just your average person and then that 1%er that we're always talking about is, let's just say hypothetically, you go like 5 days, 6 days, 7 days without making a sale. We're all panicking. We're all freaking out. We're all like, oh, this isn't for me. I'm not cut out for sales. Maybe I need to go to a different dealership. Whatever the excuse is, you're going to tell yourself something. You're going to start to tell yourself something. The true 1%er is the person that finds that breakthrough on day number 8 and they go and sell 3 cars. Like, that's the difference between like the people that are really going to like commit to what they're doing and figure out what it is that they're missing, because all those customers that get in front of you and don't turn into a deal, there should be at least one opportunity there to learn from. And as long as you're doing that consistently every single time, there's going to become a time where you finally get it and it clicks. And that customer comes up to you and you know in your head, you're like, oh, this one is a lay down. Like, I know I'm going to land this one. And then you got to carry that momentum into the next one, into the next one. And so like, just don't be that person that gets to that final straw there or that final day and they quit and they give up and they start making those excuses and breaking themselves down. You want to be that 1%er that keeps pushing through. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen that funny like meme or picture or whatever of the miner that's like digging, and he's digging underground through a tunnel. And let's say like Maria's arm is where the gold is at. He stops right here because he's like so far, like he's so far in this tunnel. He stops right here and he turns around and he quits. Well, then the next miner comes in the same tunnel and he just goes like chink, 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 and there's gold right there. So like, you got to be that guy that's going to be determined and driven to keep pushing for whatever it is you're pushing for, no matter what comes your way. Because at the end of the day, that's the difference between motivated and driven. The motivated person will go 2 days, 3 days, and then have a dry spell, and then they're going to quit. The driven person, they could go for weeks at a time, and then boom, they're going to get that breakthrough, and it's all over after that.
Yeah, you guys just have to keep going, and it's going to be, you actually have to practice keeping your mindset strong. It doesn't come easily. Like this discouragement, there's always, they say, that little voice inside of you that's like questioning whether or not it's the right thing, or questioning if you're going in the right direction, or even if you're questioning getting up. Like, we get up at 4:30 every morning through the week. So for us, it's like 4:30 rolls around, and if we stayed up extra late the night before, we don't want to get up, but we get up anyways, because there's that little voice that's like, you could just sleep in, you worked so hard, you were up late, and like, then all of a sudden, like a body part kind of starts hurting, and you're like, it's like kind of hurts. That's that little bitch voice that wants you to stay safe. And, historically, we had to be able to think that way to stay safe, because it was like predator prey, like hunting shit, like arrows and things like that. We don't live that way anymore. So that little tiny voice that always wants to keep you safe, you just have to learn how to shut it out, because that is the next level for you guys.
Have to. Lane, just recapping on the chat here. Lane says, nerves aside, we should do more of this. Boom. I love that. That was a little bit ago. I do paperwork with a customer, pause paperwork, talk to them. Okay, That's good. Lane, been so close to a hat trick twice. She loves that feeling. We all love that feeling, Lane. Those are the best. Except it even feels even better when you get past close and you hit it, because then it's like you're on fire. Like you could close anybody that gets in front of you.
Yeah, and something that Jeremy's saying, so I kind of want to back up and then we're gonna hop off of here
Sure,
because we
go
do have
ahead.
to run.
Yeah,
But
yeah, go ahead.
you guys, something
Yes,
that Jeremy said was that there was a lady that came in, everyone knew that she wasn't gonna buy, but the number one salesman treated her like she wasn't gonna buy. And Jeremy came up and treated her as if she was gonna buy, because you guys have to think about, because we talk about people with poor credit a lot, which is most of the US, you guys. So just remember that most of the US has bad credit, they've made mistakes, so on and so forth. So you guys have to remember that no matter what, though, you treat every single client the same as if they were coming in and they were buying $100,000 car or a $15,000 car. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. You want to treat everybody exactly the same. And the reason being is because one day that client who has the shitty credit that you treated like a human being instead of like the scum of the earth, they're going to get their shit together at some point. They're going to get their credit fixed, and they're going to come back to the person that treated them like a person when they needed it the most and buy a vehicle from them. Nobody, again, we've said this every single call, nobody's in the automotive industry or any sales industry for that fact for a short term. If you're in it for a short term, well, you'll be a flash in the pan, you'll be in, you may or may not make any money, probably not, because you have that mindset, and you will leave and you'll go back and work in Walmart, whatever. But for the rest of us, this is a long game. So if it takes somebody 6 months or a year to come back and buy a vehicle, that's okay. Because at the end of the day, you took care of that client, whether they spent no money at all or everything that they had.
Or even on the flip side of that, you never truly know someone's story or someone's situation where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And Andy has this crazy story. We'll probably finish with this right here. Andy has a crazy story where he had a couple come onto the car lot, and they were not in great shape, not like physically, but they were just like, they basically looked homeless. They were probably had a history of some drug use and things like that. And everyone that Andy worked with blew them off. They were all like, oh, they don't have money. They're just here to bullshit around. Maybe they're looking for a car to break into later. Like they were just being ruthlessly like mean to these people, not to their face, but just like judging them right out the gate. And Andy took the time out of his environment that he was in, out of his day, to go and talk with these people, get to know them, asking the right questions, kind of digging a little bit deeper. Andy came to find that someone in their family had just had a death, and they had gotten like a $200,000 life insurance policy. So they had cash, like literally a duffel bag in their little beat up car that they drove in, a bag of cash, and they were looking to buy 2 vehicles. And what did Andy do? He sold them 2 brand new vehicles that they loved, that they were super happy with. They had a budget they wanted to stay within, and no one else on the lot. They were like, how did you do that? Where did that come from? And it was all just because he gave them the time of day, just like anybody else. He asked the right questions, and he took care of what they were looking for. So like, you never know what someone's going through, and you also never know like what their situation is, like that couple right there. So
yeah, and we say the same thing, even in training. That's the whole point that Bryce and I even do these calls. We could not do the call at all, and we can just kind of go about our day and do our thing. Our whole thing is, we know for a fact that if we take care of you guys will come back around when you're able to, and you'll want to be able to train more with Andy, because you know that what he has to say is valuable and it can make you more money. But our whole thing is, even if you stay on this call for a year, we don't care. If what we say helps you guys, that's all that matters to us at the end of the day. If you're getting value out of it, you're getting the things that you need to reach that next level and live a better life, by all means, like, please keep coming back to the call. I don't care how long it is, because we're going to continue to do them. But I think, Jose, you said that you had a question real quick.
Yes, the only question that I have are, what are some non-negotiables? Like I got my non-negotiables for as far like personal development. But what about some non-negotiables for in the dealership that you guys did like every single time you guys came to work? Obviously, I know Andy always talks about 200 dials or 2 cars sold. What about for you guys? And branding and marketing, of course.
No, for sure. I would say definitely, if you're getting there at the time you're supposed to clock in, you're already messing up.
Yeah.
You got to get there at least 30 minutes early. And everyone's like, ooh, that's 30 minutes. Yeah, but that's 30 minutes that you get to walk your lot. Obviously, the lot's only going to change so much in a day, but you never know what new vehicles might come in or what new trade-ins might come in. So you always have to go down trade row, check everything out, keep your inventory up to date, because then when that customer comes in that they really don't know what they're looking for and they're looking to you for the trusted advisor, then that the opportunity to guide them in the right direction. So I would say number one, always know your inventory.
Lot walk. Yeah.
No matter if you're like, man, I just checked it yesterday, like good,
Every
you should
day.
nearly every single day. That's a non-negotiable. I would say number two is we all know this. You're doing one of three things. You're either selling a vehicle, like physically in a sales process with a customer in front of you. You're looking for a customer or a vehicle to sell, or you're trying to get better. If you're doing anything other than those three things, you're literally just wasting your time. This isn't why you're at work. And then the other thing too is to kind of go into looking for something to sell. You have to be actively engaged on social media. You have to be posting. We're always talking about building a brand, putting content out there, educating your community. Like why, maybe you have a cool article on why purchasing a new vehicle is better than going used. Post that. Whatever you want to do to try to generate traffic, one, to your dealership, but two, just to your social media account in general, like post things like that, provide value up front. Because when they see you, like, here's the top 3 cars that you don't want to purchase in 2023. Like people like to know that, like those kinds of things. So like any little like random value you can provide, I'll say always do that. And then keeping a rotation of vehicles that you're posting like on Marketplace and on Craigslist and things like that. Posting on your Facebook wall, just so people kind of know like what's out there. Cause like I might not be looking for a vehicle. I wasn't looking for a vehicle when I bought Maria's car that's outside right now. We just literally got a ride home in it. And I was like, dang, have you ever thought about selling this car? And then the next day she called me and she was like, hey, did you want to buy my car? Like she wasn't even really planning on selling it. So it's like things just work out, but people don't know until they see it. So I would say just stay actively engaged on social media. If you can do those 3 things right there, I mean, it's a cake. And then obviously train, but that was in the second thing I said. So, but yeah, we appreciate you as always, and we'll see you next week on the call. And yeah, so it'll be 6 o'clock Pacific time. Okay, going forward, Maria will get the link updated so everybody knows, and that way we're all on the same page. No one's sitting around waiting or thinking that we bailed on them or anything like that. Okay,
that works. Appreciate you guys. Good to see you.
Bye, guys.